Thank you. I'm not used to hearing clapping. That's kind of cool. I teach workshops. That's what I do. And this is an introduction to a workshop. So my focus or my goal is to teach you something or help you shift on your perceptions a little bit so that you know, maybe you see life in a slightly new way. I used to have a lot of rules for these talks. And I think since this is probably the largest crowd I've ever had, I'm going to have to bring my rules back up. The basic rule is don't sit on your questions. If you have a question, ask it. Don't wait till the end. It's happened to me too many times where no one has a question, I think it's over, I end the event, I go over to my corner, and then people show up with the best questions I've ever heard. So don't save them to the end because everybody can benefit from your question. Yeah?
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm just wondering if your talk has anything to do with the book by Dr. Richard Diamond, I believe his name was, or John Diamond.
No.
It was called Your Body Doesn't Lie. So.
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. Is that a good answer?
No, if there's going to be an application of his book or totally different.
No, I haven't heard of that book. So.
Oh, maybe I'll teach you something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So what was that rule? No questions. Don't hold on to your questions. Don't sit on your questions. The other one is ask your own question. But don't ask a question because you think your neighbor needs to hear the answer or because you think I need to hear the answer. That just holds everybody hostage. So don't do that. And yeah.
Could you write your name up on the board for us, please?
Oh, sure.
I wasn't real clear what your name was. Be nice to know.
Oh yeah, sure. It's Brian, and I'll write it out. It's almost generic, but you can still find me on Google. It's Brian Snyder. Good?
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't actually matter. This is the biggest whiteboard I've also ever had too. It's making me feel about this big. It's a big board. Let's go up and work with it. Where to begin? Well, you heard a little bit of my story. I was born with a heart murmur, and I was told that I basically had 10 years left to live when I was 15. And that really changed the focus of my life. You know, my interest in girls went from about this much to about this much, and I kind of gave up on career and thinking about college or anything else. I dove into, well, I suppose you would call it spiritual healing. I tried many bad paths, including alcohol, following the Grateful Dead, and I found a lot of good paths too. And in these paths, I came across a teacher who was born left brain dead. He was literally born unable to speak and unable to process intellectually what was happening in his life. What he explained to me is that he would look at somebody and he would know everything about them through his feelings. He used his feelings to get information from people. And visually, we all do that. We all read body language. Body language tells a lot. This teacher, though, took it to a whole new level. He took it to a level where I was finally, by using his techniques, able to heal my heart murmur in my 30s, which is unheard of. Heart murmurs don't heal after about age 3, right, or 4. Anyway, so any questions about that? Because I won't tell you the story unless you ask a question.
How did you find him?
How did I find him? Karma. And that's what happens on a spiritual path is when you need a teacher, they show up. They just do. If you're on a spiritual path and you ask the universe to provide, your teacher shows up. And it might not show up as a human being, it could show up as a deer, but your teacher shows up. And that teacher showed up for me at the perfect time. Yes?
And his name was?
Patrick. And you can actually find him on YouTube. You have to be careful if you can find him.
What does that mean?
Well, if you just search his name, you'll actually have to look at all the descriptions to find the videos that he's in. His wife has a radio show in Las Vegas, and she interviewed him a few times. And so those interviews are on YouTube. But he's passed away for a few years now. Yes?
Just the other question is, what kind of heart problem did you have besides the murmurs? Because there are benign murmurs and there's real severe ones. So.
Oh, geez, I don't remember the name of it. It's the kind where there's a hole inside my heart, and every time blood pumped in, it would get stuck.
Right.
So I had an eddy inside my heart, and the concern about, like, my longevity is that any infection in my blood would get stuck in that eddy and then grow, and then the heart fails. And the 10 years was due to, I was 15, and they figured I would need to have my wisdom teeth extracted by age 25. And it was getting the extraction done that would cause the infection that would cause that cascade.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
So the way it healed finally is that I moved in with a family in my 30s that was grandparents, parents, and the grandchildren in a big house in Middletown up in Lake County. And after about a month, my mind just got blown because they were all friends with each other. And they communicated honestly, and they clearly loved each other and cared about each other. And to me, that was completely opposite of my experience in my family. I grew up basically in a dysfunctional family. And Mom, Dad, if you're watching, sorry, but, look at it. That's what it was. And I didn't really understand what love within a family was. And then when I saw it and got to be in it and live it, I suddenly had just this huge realization that what I believed family love was about wasn't. I just had a bad idea. And that was the heart murmur, that was the leakage. It was the love was just leaking out of the family, And so I picked up on that in the womb, and then my body manifested it, and that was my big lesson to learn in life. So that's neither here nor there. My murmur was healed. It used to go like I used to do this. My heartbeat would go boom, boom, psh. Like that song, boom, boom, psh. And the psh was this like leak, and it doesn't do that anymore. Like it just goes boom, 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 and after that. But that is something I was able to do because of my training with Patrick. It's because I was able to recognize that my physical ailment had a deeper energetic source that I had to unravel and find. My first experience with Patrick, so I don't script my talks, I just go with the flow. So if my flow is going in a way you don't like, ask a question and get me on a different flow. But my first experience with Patrick, I went and saw him speak in a hotel, and I told him I like to steal. So I signed up for training, and I went in for my session. He walked around my body a couple times, and I'm just laying there not knowing what's going to happen. And he just picked up his finger like this and waited for me to look at it. And he took it and went and pushed right here on my body. And when he did, I felt pain there I never felt before. I didn't realize I'd had tension there. And while I'm feeling that tension, he said, Brian, the first time you ever asked a girl out on a date, did she laugh in your face? And he said that, and a picture of this girl in 7th grade laughing in my face when I asked her to the movies. Like, it blew my mind. I totally forgot that had happened. And when it did, I felt this great relief in my body. And, that what had happened is that during lunch or recess, I had come up with this girl that I liked and asked her to go to the movies with me on the weekend. And she just burst out laughing in front of me and my friends. And when that had happened, I felt totally rejected. And so what I did is I pretended like it didn't happen. I was like pushing away this rejection. My friends are asking, why is she laughing? I'm like, nothing, don't worry about it, let's go to lunch. And I just went into total denial about that rejection. Well, I thought the healing was pretty cool because my body felt a lot lighter. I was like, wow, I let something go, I feel great, cool. But that night, I got a call from my friends asking me to come to the bar and meet them. Sure, go to the bar, get there. Totally forgot that I had that session with Patrick, and I'm there for about 20 minutes, and all of a sudden, I've got 4 women in front of me, and they're competing for my attention, and we're all laughing and talking, and my mind is just blown, because from the time that that girl had rejected me, up until that moment that I was speaking to those 4 women, I had been so shy of girls that I had never asked anyone else on a date since then. Like, when I started talking to a girl, I would just go, I can't do it. If I want to ask you to the movies, I'd just be like, yeah, I gotta walk away. And I didn't know why, you know? The funny thing is, I never thought of myself as a shy person. In my mind, all women wanted to reject me. My mind was projecting this old event onto the world around me, and that was my experience. And I responded appropriately. If all these women are going to reject me, I'm just not going to talk to them. So, you know, I think from 7th grade until I had that session, I was 30, I think. So from 12 to 30, 18 years, I think I had 3 girlfriends, and they were all from either the Sadie Hawkins dance, or they had 10 of their girlfriends come up to me in the hall and say, hey, Brian, you really need to ask her out. She really likes you. And it would take like a week of hearing that over and over before you get the confidence up. So I'm in the bar, and all of a sudden I realized that I'm not shy anymore. And I also suddenly realized how impactful that healing was that I had just had. You know, I'm laying on the table, I didn't think anything of it. And all of a sudden I'm at this bar, and I'm talking to these 4 beautiful women, and I'm just like, wow, this is so unusual and fun. I can't believe it. What Patrick had done, and people who were with him for years before I met him were convinced that he was magical, and he was. His techniques were amazing. But what he did for me was simply show my body that that event was a memory and not actually still happening. So I spent 20 years, nearly 20 years, attempting to unravel and understand how Patrick was able to do that with my body. Because it completely changed my life in a good way. There was just no denying it. Sorry, go ahead, Anthony.
You said that you given 10 years to live when you met Patrick at 30, and you were given that diagnosis at 15. So you'd already managed to live half as long again.
Yeah. What had happened is, well, you know, I didn't live in a void until I met Patrick. I had been doing a lot of other things. So I'd been in some groups, I'd done some meditation, and read a lot of books, and really I was getting myself ready to meet him. And trying to remember, you know, I was thinking that it was in 99, which would have made me about 30, but I think I actually met him in 96, so I would have been 29. So yeah. So actually, I think I met him the year after I had my wisdom teeth pulled. But the heart murmur continued until way after that time I had met him. The heart murmur issue he never actually addressed. And I think he left it for me to figure it out maybe. The only clue he gave me is that I have hairy ears, and you can't tell because I don't like them, I pull them out. But he did tell me at one point that hairy ears are an indication of heart problems. So I was like, oh, okay, I've got heart problems. Yeah?
Harry?
Yeah, on the outside of the earlobe. And that's not my knowledge, I can't back that up, that's just what my teacher told me, so, you know, whatever that is. What I spent time unraveling, like what Patrick had done for me, is my understanding of his work. His work encompassed such a huge range that I feel lucky that I unraveled a slice of it, and other people have different understanding of his work and have different slices of it. But this piece I have, it's very simple, and it's so simple it's really hard to get the first time you hear it. So I'm going to repeat it a few times. And you know, it turns out that our bodies, our minds love repetition. So just enjoy the repetition. That's all repetition's for. When we have something happen to us that we don't want to feel, and that could be a breakup or a car accident or somebody yelling at us really anything that's just too overwhelming for our emotions, we psychically push it away. We don't want to feel it, right? It's too much to feel. When things are too much to feel, as children, we didn't know what to do about that because there is no emotional training in this culture. There just isn't. So when children have an emotional crisis, they don't know what to do. And we're all part of that, unfortunately. We all grew up in that situation, I believe. If you didn't, awesome. I don't know why you'd be here today. But without having any emotional knowledge of what to do with an event that is overwhelming, we psychically push those feelings away. Just like I had psychically pushed away that rejection of that girl in 7th grade, we psychically push away a feeling we don't want, right? Because we don't want to feel it. And what happens? It doesn't just go out into outer space. It doesn't just go into our past. It literally goes into our body. And it gets, our muscle, it gets the memory, the picture will literally go into a muscle, and that muscle will get tight. And now what happens is that our body believes that that event is perpetual, happening right now. So my entire life, from that day in 7th grade until that day in session with Patrick when I was, I believe, 30, my body every single day was dealing with a perpetual rejection from women. And it was appropriate. My body was acting appropriately because it believed that event was still happening. When something happens that we don't want to experience, that we psychically push it away, our body ends up believing that that event is perpetual. And it comes up with coping mechanisms to deal with it. And so what happens? You get things like, we get blinders. Right? So with that girl rejecting me and me in a constant state of rejection, if some woman smiled at me or was a little flirty, to me that was a setup for rejection. Don't want to hear it. Right? Don't want anything to do with it. It literally blinded me to the fact that, hey, some of these women aren't going to reject me. Right? I just went blind. It also creates filters. So if I'm at work and I have to go to a cocktail party, and a woman comes up to me and says, "Wow, I really like classical music," what I would hear is, "You just can't keep up with me. I'm too smart." Like I would literally, every phrase that came out of a woman's mouth in my mind got turned into a rejection. It was bizarre. The other thing that our body comes up with are latent tendencies. And these are programs to handle those unresolved events. A latent tendency is something you do that isn't you. It doesn't feel right, you don't know why you're doing it, and then it's over like, wow, why did I do that again? Right? It's like a program. Your body runs these subconscious programs in order to avoid more rejection, or maybe to put you in a situation where you get to feel the rejection again in order to finally resolve it. When we go in for therapy or when we have something ruining our life, it's usually some blinder, some filter, or some latent tendency. And it never gets resolved. How many people know people who go to therapy every week and they've been going for 20 years and it's still the same issue, right? And that's okay. The reason those things don't get resolved is that these aren't the problem. These are a symptom of the issue. And the issue is simply a memory stuck in the body that the body believes is still an actual real event right here, right now. So, your body never lies means that your body projects to other people the traumas that you hold. Your body projects to other people the traumas that you hold. Your traumas that you've suppressed into your body show up as body language. And that body language gets responded to by other people. So my experience of being rejected by women wasn't just about me having a crazy idea in my head. It was literally my body language. So let's say I'm in a really clear space one day and I feel brave, I'm going to ask a woman out. I feel good, So I want to ask you out to dinner. And you know what? The closer I get to you, And the more I see that you're female, now suddenly the body language comes up. And now I've got this body language of reject me, right? So body language to me isn't about learning what certain things mean, right? I mean, this might mean I'm closed, it might mean I'm cold, right? Or it might mean I don't want to hear what you have to say. Could mean anything. But the body language that I care about in this work is the body language of feeling. It's the body language of how do you feel. So really quick right now, just notice how you feel in your body. And now look at me and notice how you feel. Like, imagine that I'm asking you out to dinner. It doesn't have to be a date. It's like, let's hang out and talk shop, right? Does it feel pretty innocent when I hang out and talk shop? Now, if I'm holding this perpetual rejection in my body, right, and my body knows I'm going to get rejected, I'm going to have the body language of rejection. So the shoulder goes up. Now do you want to hang out and talk shop? Well, you're shaking your head no. Like, do you want to hang out and talk shop? And you're like swallowing and looking at it like, what? Like how does it feel when I go, hey, do you want to hang out? Right? It's an instant creep factor. You don't have to know what it means in me. You just have to know what it means in you. And in you, it means, no, I don't want to go out with you. Right? What if it's this side? You know? You want to hang out later? Maybe? And if both shoulders go up, you're also just going to laugh. So y'all want to hang out with me later? Tell you some good info? You just can't do it, right? When we have an unresolved trauma in our body, it self-fulfills its prophecy. There was no way I wasn't going to be rejected, right? Because while I was projecting this fear, yeah, all women reject me, I always collected this evidence to prove it was true by walking up to them and asking them out with high shoulders. Of course they're going to reject me, right? Like, what do you really want? I don't know. Make sense?
Yes.
All right, any questions? Yes?
I do have one.
Oh, good.
So, would you agree or do you think that in addition to body language, which telegraphs to the other person's subconscious, that we also actually literally emanate vibrations or frequencies which are evidence of our emotions?
Yeah, we live on multiple levels. So there's a body language level, which is very physical, and there's an energetic level.
Right.
And I mean, we could prove this. We could shut off the lights, everybody close your eyes, and I guarantee you would all get a creepy feeling in your body when I did this. Because doing this also sends out the vibe, and you feel you pick up the vibe. That's, you know, I did my Reiki levels in '96, and I got really tuned into all that stuff. So yeah, we can talk about that all day, but I'm not used to speaking to an audience that talks on that space. I'm used to like the body language, like down here level. Yeah.
I'm thinking along the lines of traumas are fixated in the body in different places.
Yeah.
So could we then assume that if you go in and have someone work on your body like a massage, or say doing deep tissue work, that would be instrumental in relieving these traumas, or is it?
Partially.
Why does that not work? That's my real question.
I will show you, and it's really simple. And I love training massage students. So here's Ed. When we psychically push something away, what we're pushing away is the feeling of it. So you push the feeling away over here, but what you can't push away is the memory. You can't, you're psychotic, you know, like don't do that. But the picture of the memory and the feeling of the memory gets separated, and the separation out creates the tension. So it's like a rubber band. The further apart you push that feeling, the more tension you actually create in the body. And when you get a massage, you're typically only working on, you know, this physical feeling in the body and not addressing what memory is attached to it. And, you know, the other side of that is when we go to therapy, we talk about the memory side of things, but without getting into where it's held in the body. So you've got two sides of the coin that never meet and nothing gets resolved. But in my mind, you know, therapy and massage mixed together can do wonders.
Yeah.
It just, you know, there's a lot of kind of weird and complicated ideas about therapy out there that may or may not be helpful in this way. This work, it's not actually about locating where your body is holding some specific trauma that you think is ruining your life. I mean, that's really fun. And the question?
So, is the memory and the feeling, is that always a disease type something?
No, not at all. And
Do you want to repeat the question?
yeah, the question was, does this separation create a disease situation? And the answer is not necessarily, and it can, and maybe. This work doesn't diagnose, it can't. The reason is the work goes by what is your body language. And what shows up in your body language are things that are bothering you right now, and things that are bothering you right now are also things that you're ready to let go of. They're up at the surface. So this work, when Patrick found that rejection in my body, it was up to me. He found the rejection in my body and showed my body that it was a memory and not a perpetual event. Right? I mean, that's understood. But my reaction, my body's reaction to having that suppressed event could be different for anybody. You could have gone through the same exact thing, being rejected in 7th grade, but you could have taken it a completely different way. It might not have shown up, might not have made you shy around girls. It could have had a different impact. There's no way, and there's no point to try to figure out, oh, Brian, you're shy, therefore you must have a rejection in your history, let's look for it. That just doesn't work in this. This work goes in a completely opposite direction. Yes?
I was going to say, what do you think is, you call Patrick's ability to get that touch and suddenly see that picture of you being rejected, kind of a telepathy or psychic, or do you just leave that blank and say, I don't know?
Oh no, it's through feeling. It's purely through feeling.
So you can get feeling and then get pictures.
Well, he was able to feel things without being distracted by his mind.
Oh, right.
And he could have been the reincarnation of some god or goddess or something, I don't know.
Right.
But the physical grounded explanation is that he was left brain dead, and so all of his attention went through his right brain, and he just got way much more info.
The other part of the brain.
He didn't have the other part debating what he was feeling.
Okay, I forget that part.
Yes.
So,
And then you, sorry.
so I do have a question. You
Yeah.
said you like working with massage therapists and
Yeah.
workers.
Yeah.
Because I've had the experience, with clients where, two different scenarios, right? Where maybe whatever, in the session, you've tapped into something that maybe reveals a memory that the person isn't really ready to address, and they get angry. Whereas
Right.
I've had the same kind of experience with someone else who's whatever, they have an aha, they get the memory, and it's just like it's a beautiful
Right.
release and healing.
Well, that's about the client on the table, because they're showing up. Many people, especially for massage, they show up and they want to tune out. They just want you to make them feel better when they wake up. They're not going to engage in that way. And so if you bring up old memories, you're forcing them to engage. They're going to want to disconnect, and that's not what they're there for.
Extreme anger, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really about appropriateness. It's like if you walk into a pizza parlor and somebody tries to shove a steak down your mouth, you're going to get mad. Like if someone's showing up for massage and they get something different. It's just not appropriate. That's all. Hold on over here. Sorry, Judy had her.
Yeah.
Judy?
Judy.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm wondering when you say feel, if you are distinguishing emotion or sensation, because they're different.
Yeah, sensation.
Sensation.
So non-verbal sensations in the body,
Yeah.
which can include emotion.
It can.
It can, but not
it doesn't
necessarily.
have to.
Right, doesn't
Yeah.
have to.
Right.
So where were we at here? Feels funny to stand under Patrick's name. So I'm not going to pretend to be.
It's your lineage.
What's that?
Your lineage.
It is, yes. There you go. So there's no way to know when we release something that's coming up in our life to be dealt with or to be released. There's no way to really know what the impact is going to be of letting it go. It's going to feel good, feel lighter in your body, but what the long-term effects are in your life, it's going to be different for everyone. I mean, someone getting rejected by a girl in 7th grade, maybe that would make them, you know, make sure that their haircut's always good every day, and that they always look girls in the eye when they ask them out. Right? I did not have to take that line of turning into a total shy boy. I did not. But that was perfect for me at the time, so whatever. 18 years of dating and down the drain. So, yeah, this eraser just doesn't really work on this whiteboard.
It's probably that.
It's not really a whiteboard anymore. It needs a recoding. So where are we at? Anybody?
So,
Yes.
So getting to your question, you always have to, I mean, I do intuitive work with animals, and you always ask their permission.
Yeah.
So, you know, just because you're feeling and seeing things as a therapist, unless they have your permission to share it with them,
Right.
that's, you know, intruding really on their inner.
Right. So when I walk down the street, I can look at a body and I can tell who's mad at their mom and who doesn't get what they want, and who, you know, has accepted a job way beneath them because they're wrapped up in something in their head or whatever. I can see that. But I don't walk up to people and say, hey, would you like me to help you with that thing in your shoulder? Would you like me to? It's inappropriate, right? But if someone's signing up for training, they know what I'm about, the permission's implied. So, I mean, this is just a different thing. This is definitely not massage, and it's definitely not therapy either. It's different. What this is actually training, and that's what I wanted to get to. Because it does feel really good to get these old things out of the body, right? I mean, it felt so good to not be rejected anymore. I mean, I was walking on clouds for months. This work isn't about trying to figure out every little single thing that ever happened to us that we didn't feel so that we can be completely clear. And you can do that if you like. It's just not the point of this work. The point of this work is to teach your body the difference between memories and reality. That's all this work is for. And that's what makes it so amazing. Because these things I had on the board that we're always trying to heal, right? The blinders, right? The filters, the latent tendencies. Those are all reactions to memories in the body that your body thinks are still real. It's still happening right now. Once your body gets that that old event is just a memory, the blinders, filters, and latent tendencies vanish. You don't have to do anything with them. You don't have to figure them out. Your body just goes, oh, we don't need these anymore. Throws them away. Like, they're just done. They're gone. My filters with women completely went away. I'm no longer scared to talk to girls. As soon as I got rid of that old rejection, I stopped being afraid around girls. I mean, you know, I used to be the guy who wouldn't go to parties. Or if I did, I would like hang out in the corner and talk to the guys and never talk to the women. Now I'm the guy who hangs in the kitchen with the women while the guys watch the football game. So it's, you know, things change. Things can shift. But this, yeah?
So how does it work?
How does it work? Wow.
Show us what's the course.
Well, because what I want to tell you first. So here's the thing. I used to, years ago when I was doing these demonstrations, I would pick a volunteer first and do the demo and then try to explain it after. And everybody's jaw would drop and say, it's magic, and they would like not listen to what I had to say because they were like so convinced that it was magic, there was no point. So now, I give you an explanation, you hear my theory, even if you don't believe it yet, at least I'd like you to understand the math, right? Understand the math of what I'm describing, and then we're going to pick a volunteer, and you're going to see how this works. Good? I mean, is that okay? I promise you we're going to get a volunteer. Were you interested in being a volunteer? Sure. Okay. So we'll see. I mean, everybody raise your hands when I say volunteers, and then everybody can compete. So that is what we're doing in this work. It's just teaching our body how to tell the difference between memories and reality. The beautiful thing is, it doesn't take long. That's what's so, the other thing that's so amazing about my work, and just to put myself on a pedestal, it doesn't take very long. My private training sessions are 20 minutes max. Typically people come in and you're on the table for 10 minutes tops. Like, whoever volunteers is going to get a full session up here. And it only takes 6 or 7 of these sessions for your body to learn to recognize. So after 6 or 7 sessions, and really I've never worked on any one body more than 10 times. I'm willing to, you know, if you want it, but like I've just never had it happen. After 6 or 7 sessions, you'll be at work, or your kids will make you mad, or you know, something will happen that'll trigger something in you don't like, and when it does, as soon as it does, instead of jumping into it and getting mad or getting all flustered or getting into your angry place, your body will go, oh, that's a memory. And you'll just suddenly have an epiphany and your body will relax and it'll be over. And you'll be like, wow, that was cool. Because what happens is when people try to upset us now, you don't get upset because what's getting stirred up is some old memory that you've got unresolved, right? I mean, that's how the psychopaths control us. They're always pushing those buttons to get those old traumas to get activated, right? What happens in this work after maybe 6 or 7 or 10 sessions is that you just don't get re-triggered as much anymore. And when you do, you recognize, oh, I've got some memory being triggered, and if you choose to, you can follow it and unravel it and let it go and be really clear in seconds, not hours or months, in seconds. Yes?
Does it work with addictions?
Yeah, I am an addictive personality. I could tell you horror stories, and I've given up smoking, I've given up alcohol, I gave up my rejection of women.
Okay.
Yeah, it does, and we can't diagnose. So I can't say, oh, you've got this addiction, then let's work on this part of your body with these issues and how to resolve it. It doesn't work like that at all. It's all about, this work is about the way I do it, and it's different than how my teacher did it. The way I do it is what bothers us and what's up in our face right now and what's kind of running our life. The stress shows up in the shoulders. When we're stressed out, our shoulders do this. That's where the events go. When they're buried deep in your legs because you're just in such denial and they're not being triggered or whatever, I don't even go after those. Like, just let them be until they bubble up to your shoulders. Because you don't have to clear every muscle in your body to feel good. All you have to do is teach your body how to tell the difference between memories and reality, and your body will figure out the rest. And it might take a year, it might take 10 years, it's going to take some attention on your part, but when your body has that tool and can recognize that difference, you can clear out any old nonsense from your body. It doesn't erase the memories, it gets rid of the angst around them. So I can remember all kinds of crazy things that happen to me now, and I just don't have a charge. You know, the day I used to live in France, I grew up in Paris. My first language is French, actually. And last time I was there for college, and I did not want to leave. I did not want to come back to America. Sorry, I just enjoy French food and culture a little bit more than what we have here. Most of the food there. And so what did I do? I unconsciously walked in front of a car on the Champs-Élysées about 4 hours before my flight. Like, I woke up in a pool of blood with a broken leg and surrounded by people. The interesting thing was, the only person who was helping me was a poor African immigrant who gave up his jacket to keep me comfortable while waiting an ambulance. Everyone else was like 10 yards back, making a big circle around me, so, you know, afraid to get involved. But that immigrant probably saved my life. Yeah?
So what about unconscious memory or trauma or in utero or past life? Can you work on those?
You know, the stuff comes off in layers. So what comes up and is bothering us now is typically like, what happened today? You know, and then that layer comes off, and then we start, you know, so what comes up is stuff about childhood, and it can keep going further back. But, you know, my experience is that the past life stuff, it got you here, maybe. I don't try to figure out people's past life stuff, because this body wasn't there, right? This body is this life, and this is the body that I'm working on. So,
but you
past life stuff, huh?
You could.
I believe in it.
There's a lot of documentation of people having traumas in their body that once they were relieved, medicine couldn't do anything, but they did a past life regression and realized they'd had an experience in the past life, then implanted a body memory that's reflected in this life.
Oh, sure. And I completely agree.
Yeah.
It's just beyond the scope of what I do. Because
Well, it
No,
doesn't
I've
matter.
picked this certain like narrow box to work in.
It wouldn't matter whether it originated in the past life or not. It's happening in this body now.
Oh yeah,
So you could work on it now, regardless of how long ago it originated.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've had it come up in session with people.
Yeah.
I ask somebody if I got a tight muscle, and I'm like, well, have you ever been trapped? And the picture they come up with is like trapped in a coffin, but that's never happened in this life.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that released from their body. Like, I'm not going to judge it. Like, that's what comes up, fine. Like, if it makes you feel good, like, I believe in past lives. I totally do. I just don't want to bring that into this work because a lot of people don't. And why try to drag them into a belief system if they don't want it? Yeah?
Sometimes I think speaking to what this gentleman just said, I think in energy healing, when if someone is intuitive, and then if they had pain that they dealt with, chronic pain or whatever, I found that they come up with, okay, this is what is releasing, and they might have been told by a pain clinic, there's nothing much we can do about it, and then once they release it through the energy, yes, they're fine. Afterwards. Yeah. I have had few experiences like that through energy healing with people. And I just found that it was interesting. Yes, it depends on intuition on both sides.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And most of our traumas have an earlier trauma that they're related to. I just, like I said, I don't want to pull people into that belief system. It's unnecessary for this training. Like, you don't have to believe in past lives, doesn't matter. That's all. The idea of just doing a few sessions in order to teach your body the difference between memories and reality. I've been doing this work for a while. I first met my teacher in '96, and I didn't see him for a while before he passed away, but I was with him quite a bit, and I didn't really get how impactful the work is, because it feels great to get your body to recognize that something's a memory, because then it stops dealing with it, right? Your body only wants to deal with right here, right now. It wasn't until that fire in 2015 in Lake County, my wife and I lost our house. And we lost our house and lost just about everything we own except for my Blu-ray collection and some things in storage. And a couple weeks after the fire, we went up there to talk to Red Cross and FEMA and to get the aid and help and whatever, and they didn't believe we lost our house. I mean, they were literally like, what's your address? And they'd write it down and be like, and that's your address? And be like, yeah. And then the guy slips it off to somebody else, like runs off to investigate or whatever. And so I hear somebody else, oh, I heard you lost your house. I'm like, yeah, what was the address? And they didn't want to believe it. And after like we're trying to figure out like why they're giving us a hard time, we realized we weren't upset. Like we're there, we're happy, we're just like, yeah, here's our info, we want the help because we want to move on with our life. And we look around and everybody else in the room is like super sad and crying and telling stories. So of course they didn't believe we'd been through the fire. But the fact is, when the fire happened, we felt it. We felt it as it happened. We felt the horror, we saw it, you know. And when it was over, it was over. We move on with our life, you know. And so then we lost the house in this last fire too, in 2017. So these are rentals. We're not like losing our dream home or anything. This is a rental with crap in it, you know. But same thing. 3-4 days after the fire, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I don't recognize the window. I'm like, where am I? What's going on? I'm like, oh yeah, there's a fire. Okay, I go back to sleep. Doesn't matter, like whatever, just a fire. But that is because when the body recognizes the difference between memories and reality, it's no longer going to let us suppress memories. It doesn't allow you. What happens is crazy stuff happens and then you just feel it. You deal with it. You experience it. And when it's over, then it's over. You're no longer dragging around the heaviness or the angst or the upset that went with whatever the event was. This doesn't mean, I've got videos on YouTube, I think I said this on the video, it doesn't mean that my wife and I live a drama-free life. Like, we get into arguments, we get into drama, whatever, and right? But 2 minutes later, it's over and we're laughing again, see? Like, we just don't get stuck on stuff. The longest we've ever been stuck in anything was what, like 12 hours, maybe? Like overnight, wake up in the morning, it's done, at the worst. But that's the beautiful thing about this work, is it just allows us to be ourselves. And if being myself rubs somebody the wrong way and there's an upset, okay, we deal with the upset, right? And then it's over, and now I got a new friend because we went through something together. It's like, it's just part of being alive. It's fun. This work allows you that freedom to be yourself. That's the joy of this. And 20 years ago when I started doing these talks, you know, I was so concerned about being good enough. You know, I had the suit, I had the $600 shoes. So actually back then they were like $250. You know, I lost 6 pairs of bollies in that fire. I had no idea how much they cost today, or I would have been the first thing I grabbed when I knew there was a fire coming. Because I bought them in the 90s, they were like $200. And like the minimum now is $650. Like, who can spend $1,000 on shoes? If you can spend $1,000 on shoes, please sign up for this VIP training I have. Yes.
Where do you live now, and should I be worried?
Well,
3 blocks from the fire department.
Yeah, we just moved. We just moved into Sebastopol. We're literally like 2 blocks, 3 blocks.
3 blocks.
3 blocks from the fire department. Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't factor into the choice. It's just afterwards, like, oh, good, there's a fire station right there. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you find a priority when first things start coming up? Are they big things for people, or they're just little pieces? And
It depends on the person.
It just depends on the person.
If you're having a great day, if you just got, you know, you just got given a car and you got a raise at work and everybody you know is telling you what a wonderful person you are, right? And then you're high on clouds,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to have any stress in your body to warrant getting the private training. But you have to wait until you're in a funk. You're like, I don't feel good. Yeah, get the private training because that means something's bothering you. It's on the surface. It's easier to find and let go of. As opposed to, I feel great, let's find something I don't like about me to get rid of. Like, why? You know, just enjoy your life. I like you, Judy, you're fun.
Oh, I spent a lifetime doing that.
Awesome.
Do most of the issues, because I've been exposed to other kinds of philosophy, most recently the one that, like, the things that happen to children before they're 5 or 6 or 7, you know, they're the biggies that we carry around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, it's like that age is when we're most impressionable and we're a clean slate. So we
absolutely.
don't know, you know, nobody else touches on those kinds of things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And typically our upsets as adults are in some way related to an upset we had as a child. Otherwise, I wouldn't get upset as an adult. I mean, there is that relation there, and everybody's different. I've had clients who, you know, they had to come in for 4 or 5 sessions before they could get back into those early childhood memories. And I've had other people, first thing out of their mouth on the table is, oh yeah, you're right. When I was 5, I wasn't allowed to do chores, you know, or whatever the thing is. I mean, you'd think that kids would not want to do chores, but if you're denied doing chores, like, what does that tell you about you know? So, yeah.
So I'm really interested in your process. You said you're going to share about your process before doing a demo.
Oh, yeah. And what do you mean by my process?
Well, you just said before you provided a demo that you would be telling us about what you do. So I'm kind of ready for that.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, you've been hearing it. So all I do is bring those 2 ends of that rubber band, right, and back together. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for where the tension is in the body, and specifically shoulders, because that's like what's up for us. And what I'm doing is I'm feeling, and I'm using questions to try to get you or your mind to recognize what memory is causing the tension, or what issue. And holding, you know, typically you can only inhale or exhale, right? You don't do both at the same time, right? And likewise, we only think or feel. It takes a lot of training and a lot of meditation to think and feel at the same time. Like, there might be 10 people in this country who can do it. It's very difficult. So my job is to keep you feeling. So I touch the tight muscle where the memory is, so you feel it. And talk to you to try to figure out what this feeling is from and just reconnect the two. Reconnecting the two is what shows the body that it's a memory. That's it. There's nothing more complicated than that. There's some training involved in like how to feel what's going on. That takes some time, but it's just about feeling. And learning to feel is a large part of what the training's about. And actually, I don't trust my mind at all. Of all the things I've lost, I miss my mind the least. It's 99% nonsense. And here's the thing, when you think about something, it's already over. By the time you start thinking, if you're thinking about me right now, like what you're thinking about, it's already gone, and we're on to something else. When we think, we get stuck in time. You get pulled. The rest of the world keeps moving forward, and you get stuck in your thoughts. Staying present requires feeling. Make sense? Okay. Any other questions? Yes?
We just have a point that what you're doing is good, but it's also
repetitive.
what she was talking about. Bruce Lipton talks about, give me the child, he works with Catholics and says, give me the child before they're 6 and I'll give you the adult. And because those memories have been ingrained before you actually, when your mind is still that young, you just absorb everything. And especially if it's trauma or anything that's really significant in your life, it just goes directly in your system and then it's there. When you finally get to the school age where you're using your cognitive mind, all that emotional mind and memories have been sent in, and they stay with you through life unless somebody finds a way to release them. And so there's multiple ways, but you found a good way that works for you.
Exactly. Thank you. So there's two sides to this coin I'm presenting today, and I've only shown you the tail side or the head side of it. I've only shown you one side. So that is private training. That's what private training is about. It's about teaching our body the difference between memories and reality. The group training is a little different. It's looking at the mechanics of why our bodies do this. The mechanics of how this started. How did it start as a child that you felt the need or you felt it appropriate to push feelings away? Why did that happen? And unraveling the mechanism from that direction just gives us another layer of groundedness in being, in your whole self, your feeling self. The trick of the mind that keeps us from changing is this referencing to the past. And that's why when things happen to us when we're very young, that they continue to reappear in our later life. Whether they actually reappear or whether we're just projecting them onto the world around us, it depends on the situation, how you look at it. But the referencing the past that our ego does, that our body does, perpetuates these old events until you finally resolve them. And resolution, for the most part, means showing the body that they are a memory. And that's basically a shortcut. And I believe, I've been through a lot of isms and ologies and groups and whatever, breath work, energy work, 30 years of that stuff. And it just seemed to me that every single time it was the same exact thing happening. You get your body to a comfortable place, and then you have an epiphany, you realize that it's not happening anymore. It's just a memory, right? I mean, that's what you're trying to get to, and that's what this does very quickly. That's the long and short of it, concise here. Yes?
I just had a question along with that.
Yeah. Claire, is it?
Claire.
Okay.
Yeah. Clearer and clearer.
Good.
Can some of that be tapped into and cleared through quieting the mind, through meditation or some other kind of practice that release, that allows you either to become aware or in any case it releases out of the body?
Yeah, I'm not going to claim that this is the end all of all therapies or the end all of all anything. This just has a specific place for a specific task, which is teaching the body the difference between memories and reality. And that's the first class out of 8. I consider myself actually an intuition trainer. And that's how I used to present this for years. This is intuition training. Because your natural state is basically loving, and like nothing but loving, and expansive, and all-knowing, and all-accepting. That is who you are at your core. And what masks that are memories that get piled on top that you have to see through to get down to that. But it's hard to see through that stuff. It's like, how can I see the perfection in women if I'm convinced they're all going to reject me? I can't get past, they all reject me. How could I possibly see perfection in somebody if I'm projecting that they don't want me? Right? Or if I'm projecting that they're not smart enough or whatever. Yeah?
But do you find that there's emotions connected to the memories?
Typically, yeah, that's why they got suppressed.
That's why they're there.
Right? Because something happened that you didn't want to feel. It was like something that made you feel hated or whatever.
Right. So let's say there's a lot of anger.
Yeah.
So then, just by them telling you it's anger and the body lets it go?
No, it's about finding where the body is holding the anger. Because the reason it's been perpetuated is we push the anger away because we don't want to feel it.
No, but I mean if it's in the body.
Yeah.
With the memory.
It's not though. I mean it's in the body, but it's separated from the mind. See what I mean? When you push something away that you don't want to feel, it leaves your field of awareness and gets hidden in the body. Below the neck, typically. So it's there, but you're not aware of it. It's not, it's just, the thing about denial is when you push something away, like, that's the thing about denial, we're all really good at it. When you put something in denial, like, you forget it. I totally forgot that girl had rejected me. I mean, I literally had no clue. I had, a week after it happened, I forgot, and I hadn't remembered it for, 18 years?
So that might tie into something that's a mystery to me. Why somebody has anger in their big toe. Lots of anger in their big toe. Until you become a good detective and find it, but you might explain to me, because I say, why does somebody put an emotion in their ear and their big toe and their who knows what? It's because they're maybe pushing it away and they're not paying attention to where they're putting it.
Right. And that's the thing, because you don't care where it goes, you just want to not feel it. That's the thing.
I can say that in my body, it was just loaded with so much that, I would feel tension and go into it, and memories would just, body workers would work on me, and memories would just come up and release, and the toxicity would release. It took years of doing that.
Well, and it takes an awareness.
But I didn't have those memories until somebody was like bringing my awareness to it.
Your big toe is your liver meridian, so that's where that hair is.
Well, there you go. It's in the liver, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of details to the information that we just don't have time for. But there's a basic map there that I wanted you to see before we get a volunteer here. Volunteers? Do you want to come up? If y'all want to, sessions aren't hard to get. Question? Is that a question?
There's a little clarity.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I can meet people for massage or something, but I end up seeing everything that's going on in their body. I've always, sometimes they want me to do something, I don't know what to do with it.
Right.
Because I wasn't even trying to see it in the first place.
Yeah, but you've got that intuitive connection. So that's a gift, and you should really expand it. And come get trained and learn how to do what I do.
All right.
And, take a look first and see if it's something you actually want to learn. But I'm actually going to...
We need happy people.
What's your name?
Katie.
Katie? How do you spell it?
K-A-T-I-E.
K-A-T-I-E. Can I assume you're not medicated right now?
Brian.
Okay.
Brian, can we just get consent for video?
Oh, is that okay that you're on video?
Yes.
You're going to be on YouTube?
Okay.
We won't mention your last name.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Could you stand up here? And thank you for the consent. So
You're welcome.
maybe it'll be famous someday. Could you stand maybe right here? And what I'm going to do, Katie, is I'm going to write issues on the board that I'm seeing in your body. And then we're going to see about clearing them out, and you're going to tell me how it feels. Does that make sense? Good?
Sort of, yeah,
Okay. So the way to read body language here, everybody, is to notice what you feel in your body when you're looking at Katie. So just notice what you feel when you look at her. Do you feel sad, anxious, feel closed, or do you feel expanded, loving, nervous? You could feel a vacuum or blank. I mean, whatever you feel is just what you feel. And just notice it. Because I want you to notice how you feel now looking at her, and then once we're done, you're going to check in again and see how you feel looking at her. Cool?
Cool.
All right, could you step just a little, like 6 inches? Yeah, then go back a little bit. Okay. Are you from Sonoma?
No.
No? You traveling, or are you just not originally? Are you from Marin?
Where was I born?
Yeah, sure.
Los Angeles.
Ah, all right. I lived in Irvine when I was a kid for a while.
I lived in Paris for a while.
Ah, right on, see? Connection, that's why I picked you, I guess.
I think so.
Sorry, everybody. You can all volunteer another time, I promise.
She asked the question, though, so it's appropriate that she's the one.
Right. I don't remember what your question was, but...
She wanted to know when the demonstration was going to happen.
Oh, right. Right, so here it is. So I'm going to write a few things on the board, and you are going to then tell me if I'm accurate or not, and then you're going to tell me if they're still accurate when we're done. So nobody read these out loud because we want to surprise Katie. Okay, that's fun. Are you a teacher? Or what do you do for a living?
I'm an artist.
You're an artist. What kind of artist?
Oil painter primarily.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I think actually for the demonstration this is enough. So why don't you turn around? I only wrote 2 things on the board.
Hard to say no, people pleaser.
2 different things. So hard to say no is when somebody asks you for a favor, you tend to say yes without even thinking about if you can help them or not. Someone says, can you help me move? And you'd be like, sure. And then you're like, oh wait, I gotta go to the doctor and I got this other stuff to do and I can't. But this is propensity to always say yes. Does that sound familiar? You have a hard time saying no?
No.
No? So, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. So 0 to 10, like, how impactful is that for you to, like, and just to be able to say no to people when they ask you for things or for favors or whatever?
I think I'm pretty good at no.
Yeah? Do you say it often?
If I need to, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if you don't need to?
I'll say yes.
So wait, you just said that if you don't need to say no, you automatically say yes. So do you see how that's related to this? Mm-hmm. Okay. So maybe I'm not entirely wrong?
No, you're not entirely wrong.
Okay. You're really making me sweat there.
I like to say yes.
Well, of course. I love to say yes too. But it's just about, you know, having control over it, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
0 to 10, how strong is that issue for you?
5.
5, okay. And the next one is people pleaser. It means you don't like people to be upset. So you can be very accommodating. Are you accommodating me right now? Could you agree that this was true?
I don't like people to be upset. That's
okay.
That's true, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When people get upset, do you tend to just give them their way, or do you run away, or just don't want to be around them, or what? How do you deal with upset? What's your thing?
I might propose an alternate reality.
Okay.
So another way of looking at it, and if they're receptive, great. If they're not receptive, I might not push it any further.
All right. So 0 to 10, how strong do you think this one is?
I'd say 6.
6. Okay. Cool. So now I'm going to pull the table over here. And if you could just get on your back with your ankles off this end.
Okay.
And are you comfortable?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do here just look and see where the tightness is in your shoulders. I'm going to hold it so that you feel it. Do you feel that tension there?
Yes.
Okay. Does it feel a little numb? Or has it feel good? I want to make sure you actually feel it.
It feels good, actually.
Oh.
It feels good.
Now wait till we're done.
It feels like I'm getting stretched.
You are getting stretched. So hard to say no and people pleaser. Was your dad hard on you when you were a kid?
Yes.
Feel the muscle? Boom. That didn't take much. So what just happened there is I said, was your dad hard on you when you were a kid? So we told your body that we're looking at memories, and then you acknowledge that there was a memory there. And then that's when your body recognized, oh, that happened in the past, and let it go. Super
Cool.
simple, right?
Yeah.
Super simple. Okay, so now we're gonna go a little higher on your shoulder. When you were in grade school, did you feel left out? Like, were you a loner?
Like, what grade?
You tell me. 3rd grade?
I was not a loner until the 6th grade.
Okay. And then you felt
And
like
then,
apart from the group? or-
well, then puberty struck,
Uh-huh.
and that was hard.
Right. So you see what you said? That was hard. Put it in the past, and then the muscle relaxed.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's cool.
So does this shoulder feel flatter on the table than it did, or relative to the other side?
Yes.
Okay. Easy peasy. Is this too, I mean, I get, is this too simple? Your minds are going, wait, that's not even doing anything, right? So.
No, it's impressive to me.
It was impressive? Okay, good.
So was that my muscle relaxing?
That was your muscle doing that. I did
You
nothing.
didn't do anything.
I did not do anything. That was your body going, oh, that's a memory, and lets it go.
That's really great.
So this side, you feel it's a little tighter there?
Yeah.
So maybe you're more mad at your mom than your dad? Does it feel like she wasn't on your side?
No, she was on my side.
But
But she was very busy with my brother who was quite sick.
Oh, gotcha. So she didn't have as much time for you as you wanted
Right, right,
in the past?
right. Look
Do you
at
feel that?
that.
Whoa, you feel that pop there too?
Look at that.
Wow. Do your shoulders feel even?
Yes, more even.
Do they feel even or just more even?
It's a more even.
Okay. Does one side feel lower than the other or flatter?
The right side feels more released than the left side.
Okay. Let's see if there's anything else in there for tonight. Do you have many friends when you were young? Like that 6th grade, was it, or 5th grade? 5th grade? I keep going 3rd grade.
You keep going. I had some good friends. I didn't have a lot of friends, but I had some good friends.
Did anybody bully you? Or make you feel like you didn't matter or anything?
Well, my dad.
Okay, feel the muscle. You notice that? Did you feel that go?
Yes, I
You
felt
felt
that.
it go? Okay, good.
I felt that very much.
Here, stand up.
I'm reborn.
Well, remember you're on video.
Okay.
So stand back
I'm
a
still
little bit.
reborn.
Okay, stand back a little bit.
Okay.
It's possible, what holds the muscles tight is adrenaline. One thing that holds the muscles tight. So you could feel a bit of an adrenaline flush as your muscles just let that stuff go. So don't be surprised if your hands start feeling a little clammy. I saw you doing this with your hands, just letting you know that's normal. It doesn't last long.
She looks different now than before.
Yeah. So
I
now,
feel different.
Yeah.
what I'd like you to do is look at Katie and notice how you feel in your body when you look at her this time. And how does it feel? What do you notice a difference in your body? How do you feel when you look at Katie? And Katie, do you feel a difference in your body?
I feel a big difference in my body, especially in my back,
Nice.
where there was. It felt like you were giving me a big stretch and release, but you're saying I did it myself.
I I held the muscle and I pulled it a little bit just so you'd feel it.
Yeah.
But the relaxing part and all that was, that's all I did was just right like this. I did not do anything. That was your body letting go.
No, it's like a rubber
I
band.
can see that.
You can see it.
I can see your muscles.
You look,
Yeah.
to me, it feels more comfortable to look at you standing here. Like, do you feel more comfortable standing in front of the crowd now than you did
Yeah.
5 minutes ago?
Yeah, I
Okay.
feel wonderful.
A lot more confidence than
Yeah, more confidence there. So up here, turn around. So, how do you feel about saying no to people just in this moment?
No problem.
No problem. So is this, what is this now? It wasn't 5. Well, it would be 0 if it was nothing.
Oh, okay. It's not hard to say no.
So it would be a 0 or a 1, or where would you put it?
I could do 0.
Really? Awesome. I'll check in with you next week and make sure.
Okay.
So,
No, you
people,
won't.
you give me your number. People pleasing. We obviously don't care about pleasing me, just embarrass me in front of everybody. So how does this feel?
I love to please people.
Well, sure, who doesn't?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's about
Compulsion.
It's the compulsion to please people, right? Do you really care about pleasing people in this moment?
No.
Okay, so 6 to, what would you say goes to?
Well, what is I don't care?
I don't care if it would be a 0 or a 1 or 0.5. I don't know.
Say 1.
Pretty low. 1? Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
That was an amazing test.
And my neck and neck and everything.
Here's the thing. What's
Is
happened?
this permanent?
It is, and but it's not permanent if you ignore it. So, ego, the body trusts repetition. It wants things to stay the same, right? We all have this like pull to keep things from changing. So you get to go out and find your change, because this has limited you in the past, and so is this in some ways. But you've let it go, right? That means those blinders that you may have had, those things that made you want to not say no or made you want to like make people happy, that's gone. So now out in the world, you're gonna find yourself in the same situation again, but instead of saying yes, you're like, oh, I can say no to you, no problem, and it doesn't even bother me. And it's making that new choice that solidifies the change. You have to make a new choice out there in your life. You can't just depend on, oh, I let that go, now my life's different. It's not. It's not different until you actually make a choice in the moment to say no to somebody when in the past you maybe would have said yes unconsciously. Or somebody asks you for something and you're like, no, I'm busy. Right? Because you don't care about pleasing them anymore.
So
right?
these are the 2 attitudes to pay special attention to going forward.
Going forward, and in the next couple of days, week. And it's not about being attentive every moment of every day to make sure you make the right choice now.
Yeah.
It's about one time. Just notice yourself making one choice that in the past you would not have made. And that will solidify the game.
I'm very excited.
High five.
Hey,
Awesome. So, yes, Anthony.
What if, say, in early childhood you got abuse repeatedly? So you've got multiple layers of this stuff.
Sure.
Of the same kind of abuse.
Yeah.
Like shaming, the same kind of thing
Sure.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been through it. Know it. Know well. You're going to make me cry. It's totally great for this. This is great for that. It comes off in layers, like you said. And as we get more comfortable. Woo! Champagne tonight! So, what happens is you get more comfortable in the process of releasing, and your body will offer up more things to release, and it just goes. This, like I said, it's not about, we're not trying to resolve old issues. All we're doing is showing our body that the issue is a memory and not actually happening right now. That's all the private training is for. The workshop is a little different. The workshop is about unraveling the mechanism that created the situation where we thought it was appropriate to push away feelings we don't want to have. So it's the other side of the coin. And I always recommend to people that you do both sides, and they're both effective. Some people, this is appropriate, they don't like being in a group, right? You don't want to be in a group situation sharing yourself until you've got yourself handled. Other people, they only want to be in group. They don't want private stuff, right? That's whatever. That's for losers, whatever. But both sides work, They're both amazing. And here's the thing, the story I told you about Rose and I going through the fire and then dealing with FEMA and Red Cross, neither of us were upset. Rose has never had private training. She's my wife. I'm not going to work on her. That'll change our balance of power in the relationship if I'm her healer. Right? So she's never been on the table. She's only done the workshop, and that was enough information to not get upset and to just deal with life as it happens. So you don't actually need both. I just think they balance each other out well. Cool. So that's great. I wrote a book to support the workshop. It's not the workshop. It's not even the information from the workshop. It is information that supports the information in the workshop. I think it's good reading. Those books are $10 if you'd like one. There's also, anyway, it's a whole table over there of information. And Tita and Jeff have been coming to my workshops for like 3 years. They agreed to come tonight to answer questions. Because you hear it all from me, like whatever, I'm the guy who's making it up. So why don't you hear it from somebody who's actually tried it, you know?
And Tita's also going to pass around a clipboard that has our mailing list sign up.
Right, so if you'd like to be on the mailing list for the newsletter, get it on there.
When is your next, when is your next class?
This is for ours, that's for the IONs.
The next class, the workshop is September 15th and 16th at Airport Boulevard in Santa Rosa. There's room for 20 people total. And private training, you're doing private training this Sunday, also at the same location, Airport Boulevard in Santa Rosa. And that is from noon until 4.
When you say private training,
what you saw me do with Katie, that's what that is.
in other words, it's a private session.
It's a private session.
Yeah.
And I don't like using the word session because people think it's healing, and then they lay on the table and they just wait for me to heal them. And I hate that. That's not what I am.
Training the body to let go of it.
Right, we are partnering together to train your body to tell the difference between memories and reality. And Katie's session was like 3 minutes, but you know, when you pay my fee, you get about 10, maybe 15. But that was a full session, Katie. That I've had sessions that lasted less than that. I had a woman about 20 years ago pay me $100 for a session, and I walk in, she's already on the table, and I walk in, and I put my hand on her stomach, and what comes out of my mouth is, "Who's George?" And she burst out laughing, and I mean, smiling ear to ear. George is her ex-boyfriend who had been harassing her on the phone trying to get back together with her. And she like didn't even want to answer her phone anymore. She was so upset, you know, so it was putting her stomach in knots. And just hearing me say his name, that I was able to pick that up out of the ethers or whatever, blew her mind so much that that was the end of the session. She walked out. It's the fastest $100 ever made in my life. It was awesome. Yeah, I was still going to charge her. She wasn't getting away with that. So anyway, and what there's also, you know, I told you that I do 7 or 8 different workshops. Those are starting this weekend. There's a 10-month program. I don't expect any of you to like change your life and jump into that. But just know that that's all. Well, you could.
I do.
Yeah, Rose does every day. So anyway, that is starting. If you'd like to do all of my workshops, if you want information about what those are, there's a trifold over there with my old logo on it. And if you have any questions at all, please ask them right now. Yes?
So if you can't make the first, say, session, can you still pick it up the second week and keep going?
Yes. And the 10 months, it happens twice a month. So it's, yeah, there's 2-week intervals. But the first 3 weekends are about the workshop. So if you can't come tomorrow, then what you do is you do the workshop on September 15th and 16th, and then join in after that. And that's what I recommend, September 15th, 16th. I don't want anybody showing up in class tomorrow all ungrounded because they had to totally change their life and ruin someone else's plans or whatever just to make the class, so don't do that. But if you want to talk me into letting you in, like, try. Yes?
So, how important is it for you to actually put your hand physically somewhere on that person? Seems like you're
It's
getting
not.
the intuitive information. You don't necessarily, unless you want to feel a release, like in her shoulder or something. Feels like the information is what's more crucial.
Well, it is the information, but it's also about where it is.
Okay, so
And
you're actually telling them where that is,
Right.
where you're picking it up.
Right. And I think it's possible I could have said to Katie, hey, in your shoulder here, why don't you put your finger here so you feel it? It's hard to think about things and feel your body at the same time. Like, we typically just don't do that. So the whole purpose of facilitator is to make sure you're feeling it while you're in your mind looking for the memory, yeah. And yes?
Yes, it was the shoulder thing also is so much shoulder that is they're being intimidated or they're being abused.
Oh, yeah.
That's a real big protection.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then also my dad, which the venture in the jaw, also was another.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to have really awful TMJ.
Yeah,
It's way better now, but mine used to be terrible. Yeah. So here, the other thing you should know about me is I have crazy stage fright. I do not like being up here at all. You wouldn't believe how much it takes. Well, I mean, today it didn't matter. It's been years, but a couple years ago, it was crazy for me to come up and speak in public. When I spoke at IONS in Santa Rosa in November, that was the largest group I had ever had until that point. And it took about a month for my authority issues to totally wreak havoc with my lower back. And I spent January until April, May of this year, basically unable to walk. And I was going to a chiropractor 2 to 3 times a week. I've got x-rays I can show you on my iPad. I've got L5 that slipped so far forward that the chiropractor didn't know he'd ever get it back in place. He's so shocked that I can walk today and that I'm not in pain that he signed up for my 10 months. I mean, he's blown away. Like, I walk into his office and he's like, "You're straight." It's amazing. So I was walking around like this. I'm like, oh God. It was awful. Yes?
So the information, hard to say no, people pleaser, how does that information come to you? Does it come as a word, as a block? Is it something, are you reading the body?
I'm reading your body language, and I'm also reading my body language. So it's also, how do I feel when I look at you? And when you were up here standing, and I looked at you and tuned into you, I could just feel like you were not going to say no to me no matter what I asked you. And I also felt like you wanted to please me, like you were afraid of basically, I don't want to say being yourself, but I think you were filtering your words. You know, I could feel this filtering going on. So I just translated that as a people pleaser.
So it's an intuitive reading that you're getting.
Right. And by intuitive, it's feeling. You know, I said I call this intuition training because when you get rid of these layers, you just start to notice more information. It turns out, and this is the good news that I didn't share yet, what you hold your old memories down with is your attention. You literally, we're all born with some amount of attention. We'll just put it around the body like that. We'll just call it 100 units of attention, or it could be 10 billion units, doesn't matter. But there's some amount of attention that you're born with. And by attention, I mean capacity to take information in, capacity to notice things in your environment. But when you suppress a memory, when you push something away you don't want to feel, you hold it down with attention. And that takes away from your attention for right here, right now. And so as you know, when I was a kid, every summer we'd go visit my grandparents, and every summer they would notice less and less information. It was like harder and harder to talk to them every year. And that's what it was. It was, you know, they would suppress their feelings, and then they would take away their attention for right here, right now. And what happens with this, when you reclaim those memories, you're also reclaiming attention. So literally, it's not just that your body takes away these virtual blinders, right, to keep you from seeing reality. It's that literally you have more attention for right here, right now. And that more attention for right here, right now is amazing, because suddenly you notice more. Like, that's cool. We always make the best choice for ourselves based on the information we have. And this affords you the ability to take in a lot more information, which allows you to make a better choice. That experience of having more information suddenly is fantastic. But one time, I suddenly noticed thousands of shades of green in the forest. Like, I'm looking out the car, and all of a sudden I'm just like, "Did you see all those colors?" It's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I had no idea there were that many shades of green in the forest. I never noticed. I thought there was like 50 shades in nature. I literally thought there was only 50 shades of green in nature. I literally, because that's what I saw. And now I see thousands of shades. It's fantastic. But that's not a guarantee, but that is the process. And what happens is when you notice more and more information, you start noticing more and more subtle information, and then it becomes a lot easier to pick up on the things we talked about earlier, like the vibrations and the subtle information. The 8 years I spent waiting to be invited into Harbin Hot Springs to start teaching this, I spent living off of a casino. I would literally get $5 or $10 a week on free play to use on the machines, and I would turn that into rent, car insurance, and my cell phone. And I did that for 8 years. I was only late paying rent 3 times in 8 years. Now my rent was low. I was living in that family's house in the room, $600 a month or whatever, but I covered that for 8 years with $5 or $10 worth of free play in the casino each week. And I would literally just take this money and walk up and down the aisles, and then I get the feeling in my body like this machine's going to pay off. I'm like, okay, put the money in, hit the button, and it would pay me 20 or whatever. And I'd be like, okay, and then I walk around a little bit more, and I get this happy feeling in my body, and put that 20 in here, and then I had 50, and I'm like, oh, now I can sign up for the poker tournament. And hey, me at the poker table, forget it. Like, I can see what's going on, right? So turn that $50 into $500 or $600 and pay my rent. And I literally did that every month for 8 years. And that is just the other side of this. This is intuition training, because it's about finding your center, finding yourself, and getting rid of all the junk that's been piled on top. And once the junk is all gone, you are so incredibly connected and all-knowing that you can do crazy stuff like that. Like, you just know what's going on. And yeah, so I took advantage and I lived off the casino. So I had to prove it. I had to prove that I could do it.
And they let you back in the casino every week?
Yeah, actually, yeah, no, they don't care. And here's the thing, I am not allowed to walk in with a pendulum, not allowed to have any tools, because like me and pendulums, forget it. I walk into these New Age bookstores and put my hand under a pendulum and they start swinging. I don't even have to hold it. I just go from underneath, you know? And yeah, so I talked to Casino Control and told them exactly what I was doing, and they said, there's no problem, we need people to win. You just can't use external tools. I can't use a rabbit's foot. I can't use, I can't go sprinkling magic sand in front of the machines or anything. It has to be purely internal. And casinos know that there's psychics out there that do that. If you go to Vegas, the casinos have meditation rooms. And yeah, and if they know you as a gambler, you can use them. They don't mind. They need people to win. They need the bells to go off so that the losers will keep putting their money in. And that doesn't mean I win every time. I lose sometimes, for sure. But, I lose when I'm in my head and telling myself a story about what a great intuition I have and, oh good, I'm going to win money now. And then I lose. If I shut my mind off and I'm just feeling, and this machine feels like it's going to pay, it pays every time. Every time. You would be shocked to see the number of jackpot pictures I have on my phone. Or shocked to find out that I can go into Grayton with $5 and walk out in 5 minutes with 100. And I did it Tuesday. I did it. I walked in, I literally had 10 minutes, and I walked in and I was out in 3. So, and I'm not telling you this, I'm only impressed with what I can do. I want you to know that you can do that too. Even if you don't care about casinos, it's not actually about the casino, it's about confirmation that you actually are tuning in to subtle information. The casino is just the instant confirmation that your intuition is correct. That's what it's good for. So. That's it. Oh, one more question? Well, Mike?
Well, my intuition is telling me somebody else here needs a healing. I mean, I'm do another thing before we wind it down. Just
the thing is, I don't do healing. I do training. So.
What you do training, they don't get followed.
Rose says no, and she's the boss.
Okay.
No, we have to end now because it's 8:45 and we have time to chat and chill. And
if you would like to sign up for a private training, you can come talk to me. We have slots open on Sunday, and Brian is in his office on Tuesdays and Santa Rosa.
Yeah, I do private training on Tuesdays, and I'm also looking for new organizers and places to present and do stuff. So if you organize, talk to me, Rose.
And Brian has agreed to hang around for another at least 15 minutes or so. So you're all invited to just not get another, not healing.
Training.
Training. Not another
Thank you.
But he's going to hang around for a while. So
Great.
join me in just saying thank you. So come back.